Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
What is a point of no return that you've crossed, where your life was permanently divided into before and after? My husband died. Without question, this will do it, and I'm sorry for your loss. My wife died unexpectedly at 30, leaving me to navigate our kids' first day of kindergarten, the one thing she was most excited to experience, a mother, alone. Jesus Christ. Woof. That moment cleaved both my actual self and my life into a before and after, and in ways that all attempts to describe are simply damned to fail. I am so sorry. She was so young. XO. Before and after I got a chronic disease. Same. Mine came on very suddenly. I literally got up one day and my legs felt tingly. It progressed to my feet by that night, and then my legs started feeling heavy and it was hard to walk. Never went back to being healthy and still struggle with my legs, among many other symptoms. Edit to add that my diagnosis ended up being ME, CFS. I just have more leg involvement. Not necessarily a typical presentation. As a teenager, I got what I thought was the flu, but never bounced back. In a few weeks, I went from a fit teenager who was the life of the party to someone who struggled to walk for 10 minutes and had to avoid stimuli. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue, ME, CFS. It's very similar to what people are now going through with long COVID. My case is relatively mild, but I always have to consider my energy levels when making plans. And I depend a lot on my partner for things that need doing around the house. I had several good years but have gotten more diseases, so it's been downhill the past 10 years. The initial illness, and accepting that your body is letting you down and learning to make the most with what you can do, had the biggest impact though. Having kids. Life pre-kids is very different. My wife and I often joke and ask ourselves what the hell we did with our money and time before kids. Do you remember when we just slept in until whatever time we wanted to? Or how about when we could just go out after work because we decided to that afternoon? Quote. My 3-year-old son suddenly died in August. My life since then is before and after his death. So much of our lives has changed already. I am positive that this traumatic experience will be pretty rest of our life defining for a while. We have a surviving 6-year-old child and it's immediate in just the difference of our life now. She used to have her little brother as a built-in buddy. Our lives and routines were built around 2 adults plus 2 kids, one of which was a toddler. That is completely shattered now. We are managing the new normal, but it was hard. We had a minivan, sold it because it felt so big for just one kid. We now have an extra room in our house. It is so much quieter. I work from home and my son was only going to preschool a few mornings a week. Now my daughter is gone at school all day. It's so different. I am so sorry. It's not fair. It must be so hard for you and your family. I hope things get easier in the future and feelings will be more manageable. Sad face. The day my dad died unexpectedly. Life split hard. Before was carefree and naive, after was carrying grief, stepping up for family, and realizing nothing's promised. Everything feels different now, more fragile, more intentional. Still hurts, but it made me grow up overnight. I spent the first half of my adult life living on fast forward. I worked hard to get through college with almost no student debt. I worked 60+ hours when off from school and full-time with a full-time schedule. I grew up a have-not with uneducated parents and a single mom that broke her back so I could have opportunity. I put that on my shoulders and powered through. I studied business and finance, and now I own a business. The thing is, despite being proud of that time, I can hardly remember feeling happy. I can remember laughing with friends from college I swore at the time were my brothers, or being in the trance-like state of being young and in love, but not just genuinely feeling happy. I know I was at times, but I can't recall clearly because of all the work and travel and thrill chasing. When I was 24, my mom, who was the monolith of everything good about my identity, got small cell lung cancer and died within the year. You want to talk about a blur? I cared for her as she did hospice in our home, and I can remember the wild ride of trying to do everything I could to make her smile, then everything I could to make her comfortable, then everything I could to squeeze a life's worth of life lessons into a week, to finally hoping with all my heart that she wasn't in pain as she laid there unable to respond to anything. If you want to talk about a hard stop to a breakneck life, then losing your beacon in the storm is it. At the end, I remember telling her I'd make her proud. That I'd do something with my education and make a name for myself. She said, I'll be proud of you either way. God, just typing that wrenches my gut now years later. One day I was pushing her on a wheelchair to this ice cream shop we had been to countless times in my childhood. It was less than a block away. She had me stop. I was confused. She told me she just wanted to close her eyes and feel the sun and listen to the robins. She told me that whenever the sunshine warmed my face that she'd be holding it in her hands. Grief is a cold stream that you are thrown into. Even as you adjust, you still feel the chill in your bones. All you can do is take steps and look to the other shore. When she finally let go, her funeral was the real shock to the system. Almost like people were sailing by on a passing ship while I was stranded on an island of grief. But the shock wasn't because she was actually gone, but because of the sheer number of souls at the funeral that I had never met. My mom and dad adopted me in their 30s. I met countless people from before that time that my mom had touched. She helped so many people get through school, leave abusive partners, kick drug habits, raise their kids, and the list goes on. It was a real eye-opener. She never had much money in her whole life. She had a long career in medical billing at the end. She didn't win the rat race per se, but she resonated so beautifully with so many people. That's what being alive is fucking about, my friends. Being present for yourself and for others and resonating beyond today in ways that are important. I think about all of the mistakes I made as a young adult. Being brash and insensitive, being naive and loud with my opinions, crossing the line of consent and autonomy in many ways with a lot of people, saying I didn't have time for the people I could see were struggling, taking advantage of people and angling all the time to get ahead, which growing up in poverty is sort of a byproduct of survival and hard to shake, and also just not being there. I mean like autopilot life despite all of the rich things in life around me. So yeah, that was the crux in my life. The defining moment when I focused on being better for myself and others. If you read this far, just know this. I get up every morning and close my eyes and just listen. I take a minute and think about what a privilege it is to be able to take in even the mostly silent stimuli of an empty room. If my cat decides to sleep at my feet, I listen for her little kitty breath or watch her lungs fill up and rise and fall and think about whether she knows how much I love her. I have a cup of coffee and I really taste it. I think about the crazy process it goes through to even be a bean, much less be in a cup, warming my soul and opening my eyes. I have a busy schedule, no doubt, and I have a flood of stimuli barrages every day, but I spend so much time listening to the robins. I people watch like crazy. I take the time to match smiles sent my way. I don't let someone I think is in pain pass by unnoticed, and I try to get know people's paths that lead to who they are now when they wrong me, because understanding that much about someone gives you peace even if it doesn't excuse what they do. I have a rule of taking 10. Take 10 seconds to calm down, take in, consider, feel, etc. 10 seconds to ask a question. 10 seconds to Google something you're curious about. 10 seconds to see just how rich everything is in this crazy beautiful existence. I can't stress enough how much better I feel every day, and I close my eyes in the sunshine for mom every chance I get. Edit, I have shared this comment before years ago and it touched a lot of people. I'm glad that it has again. For the last 14 years my company has been doing a food drive for single parents in my mom's name. It has evolved to a jacket and gloves drive and even a used car fix-up for single parents as well once a quarter. JRM Memorial Fund. Update, some people have contributed, thank you. We are hoping to buy a car at auction and fix it up for a single parent by the end of March if you want to chip in. My company will match any contributions. Glad my mother's words and legacy meant a lot to people. Love you all. Edit 2. Awards are great, but please if this meant something to you then pay it forward. Volunteer for the less fortunate. Donate to my mom's favorite charity, Street Jude's. Reach out to loved ones or strangers. The gilding is cool but kind words cost nothing. Love you all. I read it all. You are a beautiful writer. Today you reached me. Thank you. Telling my mother I never wanted to speak to her again. It's been a peaceful and happy 8 years of my life. She would, almost daily, contact me about something and get me worked up into a fight so she could call me disrespectful and tell me I was a narcissist who treats her badly. It got so bad that my husband once walked into a room when I was on my laptop and he asked if I was talking to my mother. He said he could tell by how hard I was hitting the keys when I typed. I once went about 3 weeks without speaking to her at all, so she called my cell about a dozen times in a row and texted me that it was an emergency, only to start yelling at me when I finally answered to tell me I was a horrible daughter who treated her poorly. Once I cut her off for good, my life improved so much. You have to pull those weeds out by the root. Same here. Turns out my anxiety and depression actually aren't that bad. Yes, I thought I was an anxious person, but it was 99% just trying to keep someone irrational happy. Before my dad died and after my dad died. Yep, my mom. Same with my mom. I never realized how much you can love someone in life and in death. I just miss living in a world where she is in it. This right here, her existing was enough for me, let alone the comfort and hope of her presence. Life hasn't been the same. I am not the same. Every trauma carries a before and after. I was sexually assaulted in my home by a guy who was supposed to be picking me up for a first date. There was this moment where I was looking at the ceiling and I realized that on some level one had always thought that the worst things happened to other people, and I felt myself stop believing that. Yes, I could get murdered or any other terrible thing. I wasn't special and I wasn't safe. Everything has looked sort of different since then. I had that exact same ceiling moment. I feel for you. I'm 15 years out and those moments are further in between, but man are they sharp and jagged when I feel them. It's funny. I was raised in a kind of violent, neglectful situation, had already been in an abusive relationship, and a few other things, and I thought I was pretty realistic or even nihilistic. It was strange to realize I still had some unrealistic expectations from life just as I lost them. I was choked unconscious in a similar situation, and as I was passing out I remember thinking, of all the says, this is how I'm gonna go. It's a weird experience to come to terms with, and even weirder having to move on pretending to be okay like nothing happened. It's not like you can be standing in the grocery store looking sad and honestly answer when someone asks you what's wrong, so it's just easier to pretend to be okay. I'm hoping someday it'll be true and not just pretend anymore. Dude, you are the only other person I have come across who has felt the same way I did. I was in a head-on car crash at 45 miles per hour. I saw the other car about to hit me and at first my brain went, fuck, but then something switched, within a millisecond, and my brain said, oh, so I guess this is how I die. Guess I had to go at some point. Then I suddenly felt a sense of peace that I have never felt before. Absolutely all of my muscles and body just went totally relaxed and honestly almost felt kinda euphoric. The next thing I know I was in a different direction, looking at my feet but slowly looking up to see all my airbags and then pain. Edit, for clarity, it was not a religious experience. It's more like my brain sent chemicals to the rest of my body telling it to calm the fuck down when it realized fate was imminent. My life did not flash before me or anything like that. Just fear greater than recognition and acceptance greater than complete and total peace and relaxation greater than blacked out. Me too, same exact moment. Realizing you are very much vulnerable and ultimately at the mercy of others is scary and life-changing. I'm sorry you understand. I'm sorry you understand. That is a powerful statement.